You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Immigration raids across the country causing fear in immigrant communities, and here in the Bay Area, as one woman awaits her green card, she wonders when she can finally feel safe.
He told me he was going to kill me, and they said, no, that is not valid here.
Plus, the first women's sports bar in San Francisco celebrates its opening week. Now, they've already acquired a bunch of loyal patrons.
I'm not going to go anywhere else. Like, this is the only bar I'm going to be at all month and all year, and like as long as I can.
And we highlight a local business creating a safe space for its customers to feel free in more ways than one. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Those stories and more right after our news headlines. A police chase in San Francisco ended in a crash just before 2 a.m. San Francisco police say officers spotted a stolen car near 6th and Harrison Street and tried to pull it over. The driver took off, leading police on a short chase before crashing into a parked car. Officers arrested 2 adults. Both went to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say charges are pending. The manhunt in Minnesota is over. Police arrested Luther Bolter overnight. He's accused of shooting and killing Minnesota Representative Melissa Horton and her husband, Mark. He's also accused of shooting another Democratic state lawmaker and his wife. They survived.
We have filed charges. As you know, we intend to seek first-degree murder charges here. The penalty for that would be life without parole. So we intend to go forward on this case because we are accountable to protect our community and hold people who commit crimes in this county accountable.
They say they believe the suspect acted alone in the shootings. Federal prosecutors say he went to the homes of 2 other lawmakers, but one of them was not home, and he left the other home when police arrived. He's also facing federal murder and stalking charges. The Israeli military warning residents in Iran's capital of Tehran to evacuate ahead of more planned Israeli strikes. Warfare between the 2 regions continues to intensify for the 4th straight day. Iran fired a new wave of missile attacks on Israel early this morning, killing at least 8 people and injuring dozens of others. In Iran, Israeli strikes have killed more than 200 people since Friday. According to Iran's health ministry, death includes 6 top Iranian security chiefs. A U.S. official tells CBS News that President Trump rejected an Israeli plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader. The conflict between Israel and Iran is hanging over the G7 summit. President Trump is among the world leaders meeting in Canada today and tomorrow. Back here in the Bay Area, if you ride Caltrain through San Jose, heads up starting today. Service shuts down between 2 stations for months of bridge work. Train service and to and from Tamiami Station will be suspended 7 days a week for around 8 months. This is due to construction for the Guadalupe Bridge replacement project. Authorities say the bridges holding the north and southbound tracks are in an area of high erosion and are at risk of failure during storms. Commuters can take free VTA-operated buses between the Tamiami and San Jose's Diridon Station for the time being. Okay, let's get to a check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, we're kicking off this work week with dry conditions widespread throughout the Bay Area and some warm weather, at least in our inland spots. I mean, we have such a contrast today. 80s in areas like Antioch stretched up into Santa Rosa, with 50s and breezy conditions along our coastal areas like Half Moon Bay, stretched all the way up along the shore into areas like Pacifica. San Francisco today topping off in the low 60s. We're warming up into the low 70s as we make our way along the 101 into Redwood City, stretched all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. And throughout the next couple days, we're actually going to notice a midweek warm up widespread throughout the bay. But let's start off with the map, actually. Seeing clear skies throughout this afternoon. It's a beautiful day for us to get out there and get some fresh air. We'll see clear skies again tomorrow for our Tuesday forecast. But once we head into Wednesday, those clouds roll in from offshore. We could even see just a little bit of coastal moisture. Areas like Half Moon Bay all the way up into Pacifica could see some drizzle, but we'll get there just around the corner. For now, we're dealing with dry skies and a little bit breezier conditions hour by hour as we head into this afternoon. This is just around lunchtime, dealing with wind gusts up to around 30 miles per hour in areas like Bodega Bay, stretched down into San Francisco, and we're going to notice a similar trend into the dinner time hours tonight. Let's head over into our inland areas real fast. I want to talk about the midweek forecast because today we're starting off in the low 80s. We warm up into the upper 80s tomorrow, and then we're topping off in the 90s as we head into our Wednesday setup, just to cool right back down, diving into this weekend into the 80s. So some of our inland spots like Antioch, stretched all the way up into Santa Rosa, can deal with some heat as we head into this midweek, but at least we cool back down just in time for the first day of summer, which is on Friday for us. The longest day of the year. We're gearing up for some 70s right around the corner for our friends along the bay. We'll hold on tight to those 70s as we head into this weekend's forecast with sunny skies right around the corner.
Well, President Trump doubling down on his immigration crackdown despite recent anti-ICE protests. He has ordered the agency to expand deportations in cities run by Democrats. In the Truth Social post, he promised to carry out what he calls the largest mass deportation program in history. The president says he's intensifying work in what he calls Democratic power centers, specifically mentioning Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago. The president's team pushing for 3,000 detentions a day. This comes as President Trump acknowledged the strain these raids are having on certain industries. Last week, he ordered ICE agents to pause raids on farms, hotels, and restaurants. Protests across the country over the weekend remain mostly peaceful, but tensions remain high in downtown Los Angeles. President Trump deployed the National Guard and Marines there last week. LA Mayor Karen Bass continues to say that is unnecessary.
They don't need to be here. Our local law enforcement have complete control of the situation.
Well, tomorrow, a federal appeals court will hear arguments regarding Governor Newsom's lawsuit over the deployment of the National Guard in California. Back here in the Bay, thousands of protesters turned out this weekend to demonstrate against the Trump administration and its immigration enforcement. Crowds showed up with their signs all across the Bay Area, including San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland. Immigration raids continue to cause fear in the immigrant community. We met one woman living in San Francisco who has already been granted asylum, but she is one of many who are waiting for permanent residency, not knowing when she can feel safe to work. Veronica Macias shares her story.
After 5 years of being in the U.S. and being granted asylum, this mother of two is anxiously waiting her turn to apply for a green card. However, Valeria, who's using a pseudonym, must again sit and wait. Valeria fled from Honduras, where her children's father abused and had threatened to kill her. While seeking asylum at the border, her ex found her. She's lucky to have survived his gruesome knife attack and was given asylum when she recovered.
I remembered that I cried to the immigration officials. I told them to let me stay because the father of my children is waiting for me on the other side, and he told me he was going to kill me. And they said, no, that is not valid here.
It was life on this side of the border where she hoped that she could provide more for her children. Her hope carried her through a dangerous journey up north, risking their lives on Mexico's deadly freight train, known as La Bestia.
We walked for miles from the border of Guatemala to the border of Mexico with my children. It was raining. We went through the jungle. It was dangerous, very dangerous because of all the animals. There were animals, thieves, people are kidnapping out there.
Being in this state of limbo is simply agonizing for her. Seeing the raids and deportations makes her feel very uneasy.
So currently it's a matter of just waiting to see how the Trump administration decides to process these applications by asylees for adjustment of status.
Valeria has status protection thanks to her attorney, who heard her case at an immigration court and took interest.
For me, I believe it was a great decision. It was great to work with Valeria because of her courage, despite everything that she has gone through.
These families who demonstrated on the steps of City Hall for a Day of Immigrant Families are currently faced with the hard decision of complying with the federal government's registry requirement. Many of them fearing they'll be deported when they show up.
Make an appointment, speak to an attorney in a confidential area where you can share your story, you can share the information about your family, and get advice that's specific to you.
As ICE agents appear to be detaining more people, Valeria is hoping the administration lifts the temporary pause on green card applications. Until then, life is a little quiet for her and her boys.
And still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, one of soccer's biggest events kicked off in the Bay Area this weekend. How fear over the immigration crackdown may have kept some fans away from the stadium. Plus, with women's sports on the rise in the Bay Area, we're going to take you to a news spot in San Francisco to watch it all.
I think providing a space for women to come and feel connected, build community is something that is super important, especially in this time.
And we're meeting a dad who stepped out of his comfort zone, all in style.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Off this week with mild weather. We're talking about 80s in some of our inland spots, anywhere from the North Bay all the way off into the East Bay too. Tomorrow will be a warmer day. By Wednesday, we peak with those temperatures and then we start to cool right back down into the 80s as we head into this weekend with mostly sunny skies in those inland spots. Now you make your way over into the Bay. Well, that's where we're going to start seeing some clouds roll again as early as Wednesday morning with a potential for some mist just along the coast. And then we'll start to clear up as we head into our Thursday and Friday forecast with 70s right around the corner heading into this weekend's forecast.
Well, the fear is sparked by recent ice raids. It's not stopping at workplaces. It is reaching sports stadiums as well. The Gold Cup kicked off in the South Bay over the weekend, but there were real concerns that immigration enforcement would keep fans, especially from immigrant communities, away from the games. Amanda Harry has more.
Cultural diversity is one of the most defining features of soccer. It's the world's most popular sport. Fans span nearly every nation, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. And that was on display as the USA took on Trinidad and Tobago at PayPal Park.
That's what soccer's all about, bringing people from every corner of the globe.
Abraham Rodriguez has been a lifelong fan. He's usually at PayPal for Earthquakes games, but Sunday was all about USA. who won 5-0.
I got to support the national team. It's my favorite national team.
Rodriguez is a U.S. citizen and lives in San Jose. He knows it's a privilege that he feels safe coming out to watch the game, something some immigrants can't do.
Want to leave the house knowing that, you're going to be okay. So I definitely do think that it is in the back of my head, and I do think it might affect the future games going on for the rest of this tournament.
The Gold Cup is going on at different sites throughout North America. On Saturday, Mexico beat Dominican Republic in the first game of the tournament at SoFi Stadium in Englewood. Before the game, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum urged U.S. immigration officials not to target people going to the game. Nahash Rayo says it's difficult to see politics impact sports in this way.
Soccer transcends a lot of things, but there's some things that can't transcend either.
He says although he doesn't know anyone personally, he's convinced some people were forced to stay home.
It's sad thinking about people not being here that maybe would want to be here, but feel pressured to not be here because of what might happen to them if they're in public.
But Rodriguez is staying hopeful. He says there was a lot of diversity at Sunday's game and hopes there'll be even more soon.
It definitely is, and we saw that today, so hopefully that can be something moving forward, that everyone can just come out again without any worries, and just be able to watch a soccer game.
Well, now turning to baseball for some big sports news. The Giants are adding a big bat to the lineup. A trade for the Boston Red Sox will bring Rafael Devers to San Francisco. Devers is batting .272 with 15 home runs, 58 RBI in 73 games. So far this year, he can be designated designated hitter or third baseman. Devers is in the third season of a 10-year contract, and the Giants will be responsible for paying him for about $250 million in the trade. They're sending pitchers Jordan Hicks and Kyle Harrison to Boston, along with 2 minor league players. Well, it's a big moment for a new sports bar in San Francisco. The city's first ever women's sports bar opened its doors in the Castro district this weekend. It's called Ricky's, honoring local queer sports pioneer Ricky Stryker. Our Kelsey Thorne shows us around.
3, 2, 1.
Ricky! Well, it's official. After months of anticipation, Ricky's, the Bay's first women's sports bar, has opened in the Castro.
I'm not going to go anywhere else. This is the only bar I'm going to be at all month and all year, and as long as I can.
The line stretched down the block as excited customers came from across the Bay to see the new bar, some waiting over an hour to get in.
The space is really beautiful. There's a lot of TVs, ample seating, also this nice little snug area if you're not trying to watch the game.
A feeling of joy palpable as people packed into booths, surrounded by women's sports memorabilia, and of course, TVs playing the latest games.
I think providing a space for women to come and feel connected, build community, is something that is super important, especially in this time.
Representatives from both Bay FC and the Valkyries were on hand the night before Ricky's grand opening to offer their support. Mayor Daniel Lurie also talked about his excitement to see the space completed.
One thing that is always true is that sports brings us together. It unites people, and we need more of that in our community, in our society, and I am just thrilled and so fired up. It's beautiful in here.
The bar is expected to be a hot spot for all things Valkyries, Bay FC, and every sport in between, with so many customers telling me they plan to come here to watch every single game. It's a space made for people who love women's sports by people who love women's sports. And that's something so many here are excited to finally have.
I think everybody should come in. There's great menu, great food, welcoming, inviting atmosphere. Why not?
Well, the Valkyries are on the road playing the Dallas Wings tomorrow. They'll get their first look at #1 overall pick, Paige Beckers. The Valkyries looking to get their 4th straight win, the latest against the Seattle Storm on Saturday, and they'll have some familiar faces back on the team. The Valkyries assigned Chloe Bibby to the active roster. Point guard and fan favorite Caitlin Chen is also returning to the Valkyries. They are replacing 4 players who went overseas to play in the Euro basketball tournament. Again, the Valkyries take on the Wings tomorrow night Coverage starts at 4:30 on KPIX. Then on Thursday, Caitlin Clark will visit Bahala for the first time. Clark will take on her college teammate, Kate Martin. Still ahead, braids are all the rage for this Bay Area dad. How's attempts to brush off stereotypes are sparking a movement.
People would come up to my daughter and say, "Oh, I love your hair. Did your mommy braid it?" She said, "No, dad braided."
Tonight, and by our Tuesday forecast, we're seeing clear skies, and the clouds really don't return until we head into our Wednesday setup, where we're also expecting just a little bit of drizzle, cool, misty conditions along that shoreline as we wake up Wednesday morning. Speaking of our coastline, we're also gearing up for some gusty conditions today alone. I mean, areas like San Francisco up into Bodega Bay could see wind speeds anywhere up to around 30 to 40 miles per hour at times. And then for our inland spots, we're also noticing that onshore breeze kick up into areas like Napa over into Fairfield into the evening hours tonight, too. So some changes in the forecast for us today. Some changes all throughout this week. I mean, you take a look at our inland areas. We have low 80s today, low 90s by Wednesday. That midweek warm up will be noticeable everywhere throughout the Bay. And then once we head into our weekend forecast, or at least for the first day of summer, which is on Friday, we're going right back to average, back into the 80s for our friends in our inland areas, and then back into the 70s for our friends along the Bay. Now, this is what it's looking like for us if you live closer to Oakland or San Francisco across that Bay Bridge right now. We'll see clear skies this afternoon. Tuesday, a similar trend as clouds roll in for that midweek forecast despite that warm up. And then we'll cool a little bit more down as we head into this weekend. At least we'll see sunny skies for the first couple of days of summer, the longest day of this year right around the corner, and we're gearing up for 70s as we head into our Friday.
Well, a Bay Area dad is on a mission to brush off stereotypes. He ended up sparking a viral movement in the process. Our Itai Hodge shows us how this hair tutorials are reshaping what it means to be a dad, one video at a time.
40-year-old Strider Patton loves being a hands-on dad.
All right, honey.
He picks out the sweaters,
Ready?
helps with the shoes, zips the backpack. But when it comes to hair, he was in over his head.
My wife needed to get out to work in the morning for her children's theater she has in the city. And so I was with my daughter, and it was so much harder than I thought.
He did what most of us do. He turned to YouTube.
This is one of my favorite hairstyles.
But that made things even more confusing.
A lot of the other moms that have like huge hairstyle accounts are just flying.
So he started making his own. Slow and simple.
All right, fellas, today we are doing the lace braid.
For dads like him.
Bust out that rat tail comb, fellas. We're gonna divide the hair.
He wasn't trying to go viral. He just wanted his 5-year-old daughter, Imogen, to be proud.
People would come up to my daughter and say, "Oh, I love your hair. Did your mommy braid it?" She said, "No, dad braid."
The name stuck. Now, dad braids is more than just a hobby.
If you're gonna learn one braid, make it this one, the 3-strand braid.
It's a movement with over 350,000 followers worldwide.
Right out the gate, there's a point of relatability there.
Daniel Hong is a fitness trainer from Vancouver, Washington, and a father to 3-year-old Olivia. He's one of the many who found dad braids and discovered it's not really about hair.
She can tell me about what she's coloring, or maybe what she's watching, or what she did that day.
All right, we've reached the end.
As for Strider, he's built himself a serious braid portfolio.
You get your French braid, you get your Dutch braid, you do your fishtail braid.
But the only review that matters is the one from the client sitting in his chair.
Who braids better, mom or dad? You can tell me a secret.
Picking up a brush and untangling what it means to be a better dad.
Well, coming up in our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, the manhunt in Minnesota finally over. What officials are saying about the man accused of shooting multiple Minnesota lawmakers and his motivations. Plus, a San Francisco renovation project could mean the end for the large Vaillancourt fountain on the Embarcadero. Why some people say it needs to be saved.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, thanks for staying with us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Here's another look at our news headlines. The manhunt in Minnesota is over. Police arrested Luther Bolter overnight. He's accused of shooting and killing Minnesota Representative Melissa Horton and her husband, Mark. He's also accused of shooting another Democratic state lawmaker and his wife, who survived. A federal prosecutor says that Bolter also went to the homes of 2 other lawmakers, but one of them was not home, and he left the other after police arrived. The Justice Department charged him with federal murder and stalking offenses. The Israeli military warning residents in Iran's capital of Tehran to evacuate ahead of more planned Israeli strikes. Warfare between the two regions continues to intensify for the 4th straight day. Iran fired a new wave of missile attacks on Israel earlier this morning, killing at least 8 people and injuring dozens of others. In Iran, Israeli strikes have killed more than 200 people since Friday, according to Iran's health ministry. Starting today, San Jose Caltrain service shuts down between 2 stations for months of bridge work. Train service and to and from the Tamian station will be suspended 7 days a week for around 8 months. This is due to construction for the Guadalupe Bridge replacement project. Commuters can take free VTA buses operated between Tamian and San Jose's Diridon Station for the time being. In the meantime, the Bay Area expecting a quick warm-up tomorrow, but it's not going to last too long. Let's get another check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, we're kicking off this work week with dry conditions widespread throughout the Bay Area and some warm weather, at least in our inland spots. I mean, we have such a contrast today. 80s in areas like Antioch stretched up into Santa Rosa, with 50s and breezy conditions along our coastal areas like Half Moon Bay, stretched all the way up along the shore into areas like Pacifica. San Francisco today topping off in the low 60s. We're warming up into the low 70s as we make our way along the 101 into Redwood City, stretched all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. And throughout the next couple days, we're actually going to notice a midweek warm-up widespread throughout the bay. But let's start off with the map, actually. Seeing clear skies throughout this afternoon. It's a beautiful day for us to get out there and get some fresh air. We'll see clear skies again tomorrow for our Tuesday forecast. But once we head into Wednesday, those clouds roll in from offshore. We could even see just a little bit of coastal moisture. Areas like Half Moon Bay all the way up into Pacifica could see some drizzle, but we'll get there just around the corner. For now, we're dealing with dry skies and a little bit breezier conditions hour by hour as we head into this afternoon. This is just around lunchtime, dealing with wind gusts up to around 30 miles per hour in areas like Bodega Bay, stretched down into San Francisco, and we're going to notice a similar trend into the dinner time hours tonight. Let's head over into our inland areas real fast. I want to talk about the midweek forecast because today we're starting off in the low 80s. We warm up into the upper 80s tomorrow, and then we're topping off in the 90s as we head into our Wednesday setup, just to cool right back down, diving into this weekend into the 80s. So some of our inland spots like Antioch, stretched all the way up into Santa Rosa, can deal with some heat as we head into this midweek, but at least we cool back down just in time for the first day of summer, which is on Friday for us. The longest day of the year. We're gearing up for some 70s right around the corner for our friends along the bay. We'll hold on tight to those 70s as we head into this weekend's forecast with sunny skies right around the corner.
All right, more now on those shootings in Minnesota. Federal prosecutors say the man accused of targeting Democratic lawmakers intended to carry out even more carnage. Minnesota Representative Melissa Horton and her husband were killed. 2 other victims are now recovering. A federal prosecutor says the suspect also went to the homes of 2 other lawmakers the same night. He shot the other lawmakers. CBS News reporter Naomi Ruckham tells us about the break in the case.
Minnesota police say shooting suspect Vance Luther Belter was armed when he was taken into custody overnight with no use of force.
The suspect crawled to law enforcement teams and was placed under arrest at that point in time.
Brooklyn Park's police chief said a breakthrough came yesterday in the search after police found the suspect's abandoned car in rural Sibley County. Multiple law enforcement agencies descended on the area and built a perimeter until they were able to locate the suspect with the assistance of a helicopter and infrared technology. Police say they believe the suspect acted alone in the shootings.
We will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served.
The 57-year-old suspect now faces murder charges in the shooting deaths of Democratic State Representative Melissa Horton and her husband, Mark. A memorial of flowers on the steps of the state capitol have been placed in their honor. The suspect is also charged with attempted murder in the shootings of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette. Both are now recovering from their injuries.
The Justice Department charged the suspect with federal murder and stalking offenses. Well, a new bill in the state assembly aims to protect firefighters from cancer-causing chemicals. Backers say firefighting gear has been found to contain dangerous forever chemicals called PFAS. They say in 2023, for example, about 3/4 of deaths among working firefighters in the U.S. were from cancer, not from fires or accidents. The new legislation will ban PFAS from fighting equipment starting in 2027. In San Jose, voters in downtown district will choose a new city council member in a special election on June 24th. That's a week from tomorrow. The race in District 3 is between Planning Commission Chair Anthony Tordios and Gabby Chavez Lopez, who runs the Latina Coalition of Silicon Valley. Tordias has a fundraising edge and the endorsement of Mayor Matt Mahan. For her part, Chavez Lopez says she is making a point of connecting with voters in person. Starting today, Caltrain service shuts down between two key stations for months of bridge work. Veronica Macias is in San Jose with the details on the closure and how riders can get around.
Most commuters this morning are telling me that they had been given plenty of notice, with flyers being given out about this project. While some are saying it's not bad at all, just two stations impacted. Others this morning saying just wait for the winter months. Still this morning, we're finding people who are arriving here at the Tamian station and had no idea about the project. Caltrain is working towards transitioning from diesel to an all-electric service, but in doing so, it requires some bridge work for two bridges crossing the Guadalupe River adjacent to Highway 87 over at Virginia Street. First, there's infrastructure concerns with earthquakes, one of the bridges dating back to 1935. There's also riverbank erosion, and lastly, the agency needs to update electrical work. During the 8 months of suspended train service, passengers will be offered free VTA bus service between San Jose's Tamian and Diridon station. This morning, I found commuters saying they're looking forward to the upgrade despite the wait.
Smoothness, the speed times, it's also very quiet, much more clean. The electric train takes a lot of, it's so much better than diesel.
The buses are running every 30 to 40 minutes.
Well, the fate of a controversial fountain in San Francisco is up in the air. Some want to see the Vaillancourt Fountain and Embarcadero Plaza torn down, while others are looking to preserve the historic gathering place. But now, city workers have begun fencing off the fountain, citing safety concerns. Katie Choi shows us how some are rallying to save what they call the Mecca of skateboarding.
To some, it's an eyesore, concrete blocks jutting in every direction. To others, like Ted Barrow, it's a masterpiece.
This is incredible. There's no other fountain anywhere in the world that looks like this.
Barrow can't ride these days because of an injury, but speaks intimately of what he sees as an iconic landmark for the sport. Each chip on the brick plaza has a story.
All of these thousands of pockmarks come from the side of a skateboard.
The Vaillancourt Fountain has been a gathering space for activists, artists, and more at the Embarcadero Plaza since 1971. City workers began fencing off the area this week. With redevelopment plans threatening its future, advocates from preservation communities are coming together.
It's amazing that it's still here, and we want to fight to keep it here.
It'd be a shame to lose it because it's got so much history.
A new report commissioned by the city concluded the structure contains asbestos and lead, and that its crumbling condition is a public safety issue. Tamara Apperton is a spokesperson for San Francisco Recreation and Parks.
The structure is unstable, hazardous materials are present, and we just can't allow public access to a space that poses safety risks.
Designed by artist Armand Vaillancourt, the fountain was meant to challenge convention. Barrow is not just a late 40s skateboarder reminiscing and trying to hold on to the past. He also has a PhD in art history.
We as a people suffer. You know, when you destroy art, you deprive the audience, the public, of being challenged. Yes, this is a very challenging work of art. This is dynamic, it's gruff, it's unapologetic.
As city planners eye changes to the plaza, supporters fear its days may be numbered.
As a skateboarder, you know.
Well, the city of San Francisco is still in the designing phase of the renovation project at the Embarcadero Plaza. It is expected to cost somewhere between $15 and $20 million of public funds. Up next, how an Oakland yoga studio is providing peace to its customers in more ways than one.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Week with mild weather. We're talking about 80s in some of our inland spots, anywhere from the North Bay all the way off into the East Bay too. Tomorrow will be a warmer day. By Wednesday, we peak with those temperatures and then we start to cool right back down into the 80s as we head into this weekend with mostly sunny skies in those inland spots. Now you make your way over into the Bay, well, that's where we're going to start seeing some clouds rolling in as early as Wednesday morning with the potential for some mist just along the coast. And then we'll start to clear up as we head into our Thursday and Friday forecast with 70s right around the corner heading into this weekend's forecast.
Well, a new bill in the state assembly aims to protect firefighters from cancer-causing chemicals. Backers say firefighting gear has been found to contain dangerous forever chemicals called PFAS. They say in 2023, actually we are on the wrong story right here. This Thursday marks Juneteenth. The federal holiday marks the end of slavery in the United States. The last slaves in Texas learned of their freedom in 1865, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. In the meantime, the celebration kicked off this weekend in San Francisco. And Andrea Nakano shows us how Black business owners honor Black culture in the Fillmore district.
From Fulton to McAllister, there were nonstop live music performances and food and retail vendors. Some consider this area of San Francisco the heart of the Black community.
Juneteenth means freedom.
Lena Robinson is with San Francisco Housing Development Corporation. The organization operates this space called In the Black. It's a store where Black business owners can display their products in an affordable retail space.
Have this vision for this store to make it a place where not only the community can come in and see themselves reflected on their street, on Fillmore Street, but also be able to put their money back into the community and support Black-owned businesses.
That vision was created by beloved community member Pia Harris, who passed away unexpectedly last December.
We keep the photo up just to remember that, like, every day what we do here, it was because of her vision that we got to where we are now.
This used to be a check-cashing outlet, but Robinson remembers when her uncle used to sell fried chicken out of this location in the 80s. As the community celebrates Juneteenth, the store is a reminder of the generations of African Americans that lived and worked in the Fillmore district.
A good reminder of how many Black-owned businesses have come through this area over the decades, and excited just to have In the Black be anchoring that effort to revitalize this space.
No matter what's going on around you.
Well, it's a new untapped market that's starting to get noticed as we celebrate Pride Month. Or Itai Ha looks at why the business world is catching on and catching up to the non-binary buying power.
Inhale, arms wide.
In the heart of Oakland,
Normal breath in.
is a yoga studio where flexibility is more than just touching your toes.
3 breaths.
It's a way of life. Marla Miller, who uses she/they pronouns, is the owner of Banana Yoga, a place where people like her can do something rare these days.
Exhale out our air.
Breathe.
Was it a deliberate decision to call this a non-binary business?
I think it happened organically. I myself am non-binary, and they say your vibe attracts your tribe.
Let's exhale out our air.
Most of the instructors and clientele here identify as gender expansive, a term for anyone who doesn't fit neatly into a male or female box.
Inhale.
People like Deanna-Lise Resto, a student who goes by they, he, she, who says this is the first place that felt right.
I know that I can be me here.
According to a 2022 Pew study, about 5% of young adults say their gender differs from their sex assigned at birth. From gender-neutral fashion to non-binary haircuts, this once overlooked market is taking shape. Rex Wild, a trans non-binary consultant, says since 2021, the number of transgender and non-binary certified businesses has more than doubled.
We're only going to be seeing more small businesses that open up specifically catering to this market.
Release your ankle.
Marlo believes safe spaces like this one aren't just welcoming, they're essential.
If we focus on our members of a community who need the most help, everyone else will benefit.
Stretching norms.
Stay for 3.
And bending over backwards to make sure everybody feels safe.
Block goes off to the side.
This Pride Month, we're also highlighting voices that inspired change through art. The San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus has done that for decades, but now they're facing a funding loss that hits hard. Tom Paulino sings with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, promoting inclusion since 1978. This year, they lost a $75,000 grant meant to support LGBTQ plus youth through music. The National Education Association says it is shifting priorities, but Paulino sees it as a part of a growing backlash. Still, the chorus pushes forward, ready to show what love and joy look like on stage.
Anybody from a marginalized community that has had any sort of injustice thrust upon them by society or by somebody in power, I always know that those people are the ones that band together eventually to pull our communities and our culture forward.
You can watch the full story airing tonight on our evening edition at 5 p.m. on KPIX and streaming on the free CBS News app. Be sure to tune in to our Pride Month special at the end of the month. That is Sunday, June 29th, the same day as the San Francisco Pride Parade. It all starts at 10 a.m. on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12 and streaming on CBS News Bay Area. Coming up, a kid who was once painfully shy is now at the top of his class with acceptance to more than 20 universities and $1 million in scholarships. The tough decision he had to make.
tonight. And by our Tuesday forecast, we're seeing clear skies, and the clouds really don't return until we head into our Wednesday setup, where we're also expecting just a little bit of drizzle, cool, misty conditions along that shoreline as we wake up Wednesday morning. Speaking of our coastline, we're also gearing up for some gusty conditions today alone. I mean, areas like San Francisco up into Bodega Bay could see wind speeds anywhere up to around 30 to 40 miles per hour at times. And then for our inland spots, we're also noticing that onshore breeze kick up into areas like Napa over into Fairfield into the evening hours tonight too. So some changes in the forecast for us today, some changes all throughout this week. I mean, you take a look at our inland areas, we have low 80s today, low 90s by Wednesday. That midweek warm up will be noticeable everywhere throughout the Bay. And then once we head into our weekend forecast, or at least for the first day of summer, which is on Friday, we're going right back to average, back into the 80s for our friends in our inland areas, and then back into the 70s for our friends along the Bay. Now, this is what it's looking like for us if you live closer to Oakland or San Francisco across that Bay Bridge right now. We'll see clear skies this afternoon. Tuesday, a similar trend as clouds roll in for that midweek forecast despite that warm up. And then we'll cool a little bit more down as we head into this weekend. At least we'll see sunny skies for the first couple days of summer, the longest day of this year right around the corner. And we're gearing up for 70s as we head into our Friday.
The Bay Area continues to celebrate its graduates this summer. Stanford held its commencement yesterday. The university says this graduating class marks the largest in Stanford's history. Graduates entered the football stadium wearing costumes for the traditional wacky walk. This year's keynote was Stanford alum and Olympic gold medalist swimmer Katie Ledecky. She encouraged the graduates to go the distance in their life after college.
When I look back at those races, what gives me the most joy is the goal being reached. This is why I tell you, you don't have to win the race. You just need to win your race. And winning your race means falling in love with the process. Fall in love with the process, not the podium.
Ledecky graduated from Stanford in 2020 with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in political science. As we celebrate our Bay Area graduates, we're highlighting an incredible high school student from Byron. He was accepted to 24 colleges and universities and was awarded $1 million worth of scholarships. Our Mary Lee has his incredible story.
A real survivor, huh?
Keon Rothschild has achieved what many of us can only dream of. He got accepted into some of the best universities in the country, including UC Berkeley, UCLA, and USC. Keon still can't believe it.
Wow, I'm really able to do that. You know, it really puts into perspective what you can do when you put your mind to it.
Let's go out into the world with our heads held high, ready to make a difference and honor the legacy of those who came before us.
Graduating with a 4.0 GPA with honors, Keon was awarded $1 million worth of scholarships from colleges and universities across the country.
I'm ecstatic for my son, and I say this so often. I'm just blessed to be his mom.
Okay.
Keon is a role model to his 6 siblings and a leader in his school and community. He's an ambassador for the youth empowerment nonprofit Youth Utilizing Power and Praise based in Santa Clara County.
When he first started with his coach in public speaking, which at that time was my husband, Theophilus Booker, and he was so shy. And a few times, he's probably going to get mad I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's what aunties do. He would just cry. It was too much for him. To now seeing him speaking at his graduation, it's phenomenal.
Keon is emotional about what he's overcome and where he's going.
You deserve that. And just embrace the moments of, you know, becoming this amazing young man that the world would be so excited to meet.
You over here talking like that. It's like, oh, here comes the tears.
I know. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. I'm so proud, dude.
A lot of people feel like they're alone, and I have my own experience with that. But when you see that like played out in front of you, and you know how many people's actually there for you, it changes your whole perspective on everything.
With the big decision of choosing from 24 colleges and universities, Keon eventually chose the University of Oregon, which awarded him a full-ride scholarship in their honors program. And now he's looking toward the future.
My next step, getting to college, graduating, and then I want to be able to earn a whole bunch of money, buy my family anything they want. My mom, a house, a big, beautiful mansion, everything she wants. My auntie, who you guys met earlier, buy her a house, my grandma a house.
No matter what lies ahead, Keon's future is bright.
We did. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.